Hi! This is the Gambit Magazine Shady Ladies podcast. I am Samir Roy, your co-host, co-creator, joined as always by fellow contributing editor at Gambit Magazine. What's your name, sir?
Oh, did you say sir?
You responded.
Oh, that's because it's like this is why I'm bad at improv. Like, I don't wait for the other person. I'm like, I know what you're going to say.
Got you.
You did, but that's fine.
Miss.
No, you can call me. I'm pretty broy. It's a fair.
It's a drag cast, you know. If you were in drag, then you'd be a mister.
This is true. Oh, okay. That's fine. I'll take it.
But your girl name is?
I'm Margaret Poupard, fellow contributing editor at Game Magazine, and we are your shady ladies.
Oh, yes, we are. And we're even joined by a special guest who is our fabulous friend here today, Margot.
Our first ever guest, friend of the show, Ari Siegel. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
You never respond to my tweets.
She does not look at her Twitter.
No,
I
that is
know. I get sad when people don't respond. No, I don't really, because we got lots of responses. It was fun. I haven't had a Twitter debate.
Oh, well, we will get to Samir's Twitter.
So fun.
Samir got trolled on Twitter.
He wasn't a troll. He was just very passionate about his choice.
It was a light troll. Troll light.
I mean, if that's the worst the trolls have to offer, then life is pretty good.
I hope all of them are exactly like him.
Yeah, like respectful, but determined and fiercely defending their opinion.
Well, we have Ari on to discuss our finale thoughts, and she is a drag historian as well, so feel free to jump in because this is
drag
how it goes.
Historian.
Will do.
What was the name of the queen who threw the first brick at Stonewall? It was
Drag Race.
Oh, drag. Okay, I was like, oh, well. What was Oscar Wilde's drag name? I don't know that Oscar Wilde had a drag name, but
hope so.
I feel like it would have been really good.
You know, it would have been.
It would have been. That was, his greatest gift with words. But nonetheless, we are here to discuss some other queens in this century. And the final three, as we all know by now, were Bob the Drag Queen and... Who were the other two? No, just kidding. Miss Kim Chi, who was like, my heart was like beating for Kim Chi, and Naomi Smalls. And as the new tradition of the finale goes, there is no final three whole episode about them and then the finale. It just goes from final four, pick the final three, and then into the live finale at the Orpheum Los Angeles Theater. Not Orpheum San Francisco.
Oh my gosh, this is not the place for you to get hoity-toity about your Orpheum theaters.
No, their Orpheum is gorgeous, but it's new.
I'm sorry. A little bit of from some
new
theater shade.
It doesn't look like a classical theater. It looks like they made it to look like a classical theater.
That's how most of LA looks.
Well, that's very true. Actually, haven't been there recently, but I loved it. I loved actually being in LA. I happened to be walking by that theater the day after this had filmed, and I was like, you know what? Why weren't we walking here? I should have been walking here the day before. But no, I actually got to see a lot of LA for the first time that I never really had. So I was like, kind of like, oh man, is this what? Oh no, the drag queens don't get to see this because they're sequestered. So by this point, we've seen them after a bout of freedom.
And then they're also put to work at DragCon the weekend before.
Don't you have to like pay to get in lines for like each queen though? Don't you have to like pay for everything?
True?
That's what someone told me. Like you had to pay for everything, and I was
thought
like,
you just bought your pass and that was it.
That was just to get into the building. I think there's like
that's crazy.
Hidden fees everywhere at DragCon because queens.
It's like that Kim
money.
Kardashian mobile game, just hidden fees everywhere. Every time
there's a Kim Kardashian mobile game.
Mm-hmm. We can talk about this. We can talk about this off air, but it's hysterical.
Been
it's exactly
avoiding Kardashian-related media.
But this is exactly what you would think it would be.
I honestly can't imagine
Social
what it would
climbing.
be.
Pretty much, you just like you.
Is it her like on her phone at award shows complaining about who won?
Yes. There's like some of her like texting on a red carpet. You have to bang athletes to like gain clout and like.
Yeah, you have to flirt
Did
with
she
people.
make this game?
Yeah, and your butt gets bigger, and yeah, you're
this
basically.
This is horrifying.
Yeah, it's hilarious if you look at it the right way.
Hilarious and horrifying. Almost like the sort of travesty of the lack of suspense in this finale. Because it's like, you can always tell, we were saying this earlier, you can always tell who's going to win that finale, like now that they've started doing, like who has the best song to dance to, who has the best song, period. Like last season, like Violet Chachki's song was like the most fun. I thought I didn't really like Ginger's song. I mean, it was a good song for her
Ginger's
to
song
sing.
was what I felt was exactly represented her, and
Yeah.
it was really musical theater-y, and it wasn't my cup of tea, but I felt like it was very her.
Yeah, you could just tell like the best performance of all of them was Violet's. I'm like, okay, well obviously that's gonna win. That song was the most interesting. But here it was like so obvious that the best song was Bob's, and it was the first one that we see. I was really, really entertained, and I was like, oh, I hope the others are gonna be this good. Oh.
Well, not only was Bob's the best song, but it was also just the content of the songs was basically like, I won.
Yeah.
Bob's was like, I'm really talented and everyone thinks that I'm showing off. And then the other two were like, I don't dance.
Well, Kim Chi's was partially in Korean?
Yeah, partially in Korean.
With no subtitles for us to tell what she was saying.
Yes, and
we just
very
assume it's the
little movement.
chorus.
I was just saying, like, I was just assuming it was Fat Feminasian, but in Korean.
Yeah. Just 3 words over and over again.
It was
Right.
difficult to like understand a lot of the song, and she didn't do a whole lot.
She barely moved.
Like,
Yeah.
except
So
at the end, suddenly people were like, oh my god, she's moving.
She did move to the point where I actually thought maybe people were going to come out from under
Me
her
too!
dress.
I thought it was a Russian nesting doll
glad I
thing.
was
Oh my
wrong.
god, okay.
Yeah, but then they popped out behind her.
Yes.
I mean, visually entrancing. I feel like if we were gonna represent Kim Chi, the song shouldn't have been like a pop song. Almost, it should have been something.
What should it have been?
I don't know. I just feel like if it was really gonna suit like what she does, I feel like something a little more arty
True.
would have been
kinda
better
just
suited to
went
her as a
K-pop.
and they like it's not really like her persona is not really K-pop. It's something beyond that. Like there's definitely influences of it in there, but like that's not like what she would like if she picked music for a show.
It would have been more interesting.
It would have been more interesting than that, and it was a very interesting song. And then Naomi's song was about legs, which is, I guess,
It was repetitive in the wrong way.
yeah. I'm like,
was
this
like
could have been a lot
80% of the
shorter.
lyrics.
Like we were just watching Bob's music video, and I'm like, they could shorten this,
Yes.
like by half.
But
Yeah.
I will give him I'll give him credit that the song's chorus is just stuck in my head now. Parse, parse, parse. Like it's like all I can hear right now.
It's like a
gonna make me
metronomic
crazy.
like sound. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
had a
Dun, dun,
decent beat
dun,
on his
dun.
song too, which I can't say
Dun,
that
dun,
about every
dun,
other
dun.
queen.
You do that enough times, it's just gonna like purse first, purse first.
Although I have to say,
Press
just the
first.
phrase "walk into the club purse first" has been stuck in my head for like 3 days.
It is a really funny phrase. I know that you're sick of it, Samir, but
I
it
feel
still
like
makes
I
me
don't know. I
laugh.
felt it was just the whole thing was like from the beginning of the show. It was like instant marketing. It was instant branding, and like,
But that's why there was zero suspense getting the top 3 or even in the
But then
finale.
they all acted like it was like this hilarious original thing. I was saying like, Alyssa Edwards did this better several times when she was on season 5.
Yeah.
Thank you. So it was like it wasn't like this brilliant original comic moment. I'm like, it was like literally copying somebody for whom it was an original like genuine character, part of their character, and he took it because it was funny, and then made it like just basically pretended it was his, I guess, or just like did it, and then I don't know. They feel like they were selling Purse First to us before it was ever a song in a music video from like the first episode of the season. I was like, that seems like a strong sign for that one. Because you could tell, even though Kim Chi won the first challenge, she wasn't going to win the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
You just knew that she wasn't going to. Like, they already had a Looks Queen win last season. Even though both of those Looks Queens were actually competent performers in all but one challenge, pretty much. So it was like, there was a chance that they could surprise us, but it was not a real chance.
No, it was Bob from the beginning.
Like, totally. And then, I don't know, the whole episode was kind of like pointless. There was like no tension whatsoever. So it was just like doing the same thing we talked to the queens in groups. And even that like didn't have as much like fun banter as it used to.
I don't like these live ones so much. I kind of want to go back to the days of like sitting on folding chairs in an empty studio
Yeah.
and bitching.
Like the first few seasons. But like, I mean, like I definitely don't like this quite as much. I mean, I like the big show aspect of it. Like I
The
like that.
performance.
I mean, I can't
Yeah, but
complain
I
about
feel
a
like it
bunch
almost
of
has the vibe of like a Bachelor after show. Like you could have done this like reunion special when you're done doing the finale
Yeah.
filmed regularly, and then you can talk about
But
highlights
it's not
and
as
lowlights.
big a show, I guess, if it's not something like there's a result that you're waiting for.
But
like
we
the
weren't.
Oscars,
But we
you
weren't
build up
waiting
to
for
it.
a result. Like we weren't waiting for
No,
a result
but that's
either,
this-
though. There was no build up.
The poor, the no, or the
And
I don't
even
even say
last
poor
season,
editing,
I
which
feel
is
like you could
obvious.
tell that
Yeah.
it was going to be Violet Chachki.
Yeah.
So I felt like both times, like the live finale just lacked this oomph that I understand the point that you're making. It's just that I don't feel like they have them anymore. And so maybe it'll be more fun if it's teased out and pre-taped. I mean, I'm not sure.
Well,
then you could do a live spectacular with all of the queens.
I just feel like it wouldn't work as much if it was just a reunion show that like they wouldn't make a big production out of it. It was that kind of reunion show where it's its
Yeah.
own thing. It doesn't suit that kind of episode, so I think that's why they try to combine it. Like, I'm not totally mad at it, but they also have to record each of the queens winning because they don't want the audience to spoil the result. So everyone who sees it live sees each queen like accepting and having their moment, and then when it's edited together for television is when we see like, oh, this was the actual winner.
And it makes it so anticlimactic because you can tell it's not a real reaction. I had to go and like look up the real reaction afterwards because I was like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
does not give me anything.
Nothing. It was there was that, and it was just like they kept selling purse first again throughout the episode. Like he makes
That's
RuPaul
how
a
he closes.
purse.
That's how he closes his win. Is just walking purse first.
And I'm like,
down
dude,
the
you're
runway.
not going to be able to sell this forever. Once you don't have the power of this show marketing it for you, like, it's going to die and you're going to leave it behind and do something else in a
Like,
couple
have
years.
a purse making business. Like,
Or-
what
or
is
That would
that.
be hysterical.
Kimchi has eyeshadow.
It actually looks really
Yeah.
great, you guys.
I'm sure it does. Kimchi's like I said before, like if we're judging everybody on the thing that they're best at in
I
this
still agree with you on
series,
this point.
that Kimchi would really should be the winner because she's better at what she does best than what anybody else is
Yeah.
at what they do best. Like Naomi's an amazing model, but if I had a choice between seeing Kimchi create something or watching Naomi model, I would watch Kimchi, and I would want to see what Kimchi created. If I had a choice between Bob doing it's more stand-up comedy to me, so it's like I can, very good stand-up comedy. Like, not gonna knock it because that's not easy. Like, you have to be brilliant to be as good. I think he is brilliant, actually. I just feel like I would get more out of Kimchi in drag than I do out of Bob, because Bob kind of always looks like Viola Davis.
Yeah, but I do have to give Bob credit where it's due. He looked the most glamorous that he's looked at all this season.
But still wasn't so great.
But I still thought it was. I mean, I guess
Better than anything
was-
he's done.
it was very.
I
polished,
ironically
yeah.
thought the funny thing is that we
He
know
wore
that
a
he's
dress,
got.
and I really did like.
He wore a dress instead of
Floor length.
stretch pants.
Not Dax exclamation point awkward ankle cocktail length.
Ugh.
I'll never forget that dress. It was so ugly. But even Bob's outfit for his dance music video lip sync routine was probably also one of the cuter things he's worn this whole time. So,
I thought like I said, the first episode when he made that dress and the Gone with the Window was the challenge he got. I'm like, that's the best thing he wore all season. And
well,
it's
that's why he wore that dress in the music video.
he kept it for a reason because it was something really good. And it's like,
And
he's got it. I think maybe he's the kind of artist that does better when you give him parameters to break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he has to do it all, like when he had to when he ended up making that horrible white outfit with the peplum,
But he did make it in an hour.
I know, but it
Yeah.
was also so
It was
awful.
so ugly.
Yeah.
When he doesn't have something specific enough that he has to work with. I don't know. It just seems like maybe he needs some those kinds of constrictions, because then he knows where the line is, and then once you break that line is when you do something a little more magical and because his ad-libbing with every single acting challenge all season, it wasn't he was the only person they really let get away with ad-libbing in these scripted challenges, because usually they make them do it over with just their line unless it works, but they just kept letting Bob run with it because it was so natural and easy. So it's I'm just curious what his career is going to be like now that he's the winner, because there's really no mystery that was going to happen.
I don't know. That is a good question. I mean, is
what
he
kind
gonna
of
start?
shows will Bob have?
Is it going to be
Because I
that's
feel
what I was
they'll
going to say.
sell
Is it going to be
out.
Bianca? Is it going to be a stand-up comedy
Well,
tour?
he's going to be at Drag Queens of Comedy in SF. They didn't announce it until after Bob had won the show.
Well, that
But
makes
they
sense.
just announced it now that Bob's going to be in Drag Queens of Comedy, and I actually...
It's him and Katya and Chi-Chi.
I
Wasn't
got a
Chi-Chi
press
on there?
invite
Chi-Chi
for
on
it.
I thought I saw her, but I could be wrong.
Let me see.
They released a bunch of Drag Race tours as soon as this was over.
I would watch Katya do anything.
Me too.
Oh my gosh.
She was so funny in the finale. That was definitely a highlight for me. I was like, oh, this is the suspense for me.
That
Watching
was
her
amazing.
like roll out from under.
And
crazy
strangely
old
enough,
aunt.
the funny
She is the kooky old aunt, just like
she was so good.
In flats with messy hair.
The biggest laugh of the night though was Kimchi when she like dropped shade on the pit crew.
Oh yeah,
Like
that was way
had
shady.
RuPaul like breathless. I'm like, okay, I think you won the night for best moment right now.
But I like that the ginger he looked actually offended. Like, you're not gonna get an STD from me.
That's because he's the straight one.
Oh, is that?
Was so disappointed to learn that.
Did you also tell me he's like an architect or something?
Yeah, he's like an
name is
aeronautical
Bryce.
engineer.
What?
He's like legitimately like, I think he has a PhD. He does work as an engineer, but then he started getting offers like from like modeling agencies and shit because they were just like, oh, you.
What a fantastic side gig.
I'm like, it's just not fair. Like, how can you be like a brilliant like, like scientific mind and be this like? I was so hoping he was gay, but I was like, you're straight.
My favorite fact about him is that his name is Bryce.
Bryce.
I don't know why that makes me
Bryce,
laugh.
like Bryce Islandberg or something like that.
He looks and he now has the name of a Disney prince.
Oh, he's so adorable. I have to
Bryce.
meet him too somehow. I will. I'm gonna have to make lots more LA visits and hang out a lot more in West Hollywood. Everyone's like, go to the Abbey, and I'm like,
yeah.
I still didn't go to the Abbey while I was there. I don't know why, but I didn't go. But
well,
no.
I don't think that he's gonna be. In
Yeah,
Waco.
but that's where most of his work is. It's like he's popular with gay men.
Well, I guess
I don't see him in straight media.
Do the pit crew do tours of their own?
I have no idea, but they must go out together sometime.
Surely they're out in groups in their own.
I'm like, they've got to be filming
Right?
season 9 soon, and when they're filming season 9, they've got to be out and about that part of. Well, actually, I think they film in like some of the not. I don't know where they film this actually. Even though we see the outside of the studio, it's in Burbank.
It actually looks like CBS Studios in Studio City, but it could also be Sony in Culver City. It could be fucking anywhere. It's so nondescript, you cannot tell.
They don't want everyone to mob the stage because that would happen.
I'm sure it would.
Oh, yeah.
It'd
But
be like
yeah.
Price is Right out there.
So I know that Bob is definitely sticking with like his biggest strength, which is like comedy, and it just like they just gave us so many signs. Like remember when he said like that Bianca, like
That was in
basically
Untucked.
pegged him as in Untucked he basically pegged Bob as winning before the show even started. And I was just like, well, we kind of got that feeling from the first episode.
And then Bianca had already shown up that episode to just like make a joke and then leave. That was like the
Yeah.
weirdest drive-by.
Like I
of
said, it
all
was
time.
kind of like those moments when when Barbara Streisand was presenting the award for Best Director at the Oscars, and it was like a woman was nominated again. It was Catherine Bigelow, and you knew before, and I was like, okay, they picked her because this time Catherine Bigelow is won, a woman is won, so they're picking the last woman who was nominated for Best Directing at the Oscars to present the award. So it's this kind of ironic, historic moment. Like, who knew this would happen?
How
I'm like-
ironic! You guys are sexist.
I'm
Awesome.
like, so basically,
Let's point it
somebody
out.
has
There's
seen
only 2 of you.
the votes
Oh, God,
as it
that's so
is.
depressing.
It's like there's always moments like that where like the person presenting it is like somehow connected to the person who wins in some very obvious way, and so when you see the person presenting that person's going. That who of the nominees is going to win. So it's kind of like we heard that story about Bianca, then we see Bianca show up, and we're like, okay, like just stop nailing.
Oh yeah, and then I sent you that screenshot from Katya's
Katya.
Instagram.
Purse first, and then it was the trophy, and I was like,
And then
yep.
as soon as they
Oh,
lifted up the
yeah.
curtain on Violet Chachki, it struck me how similar her and Kim Chi's aesthetic is.
Like she and Kim Chi
Yeah.
were the best looks that whole night. I was very
Was she
impressed.
dying of consumption? Was that part of her
I
shtick?
don't know.
She was like,
I was so impressed.
I
veiny.
know the veininess.
I was
Yeah.
she painted that on.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
all
no,
painted.
totally.
It was amazing. I was
God,
like,
I
she.
hope so.
Yeah, jeez, there's something wrong, girl. Get to the
I
hospital.
was so impressed with the imagination of it to have even that kind of detail in it, but also that she knew she was going to be the last one, and she I don't know if she even knew what the other girls were wearing or cared, but she was like, no, I just know I'm going to have the best look.
It was beautiful.
It was so stunning. I'm like, I want to see her and Kim Chi together, like making their own drag fashion shows and shit.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like that our lives are not going to be complete until something like that happens, because I was super, super impressed with that. And she's been having a grand old time since she won, so.
Yeah.
I know her cinched waist is her thing, but her waist makes me so uncomfortable.
It's so tiny. That episode, that was a brilliant moment. That was one of those other moments you're like, that's a winner's move right there.
Yeah.
It's so over the top in such a crazy way. And really nobody this season kind of had that kind of moment. I mean, everybody knocks last season for a lot of reasons, for a lot of obvious reasons, because it was so overproduced that it was palpable, and this time they hid the overproduction a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Well,
as much as they could.
Yeah, they couldn't hide Bob is the winner, though.
Yeah, right away.
And that is honestly my biggest gripe with this season, was it was so clear from the beginning, and even though the group of queens were a lot more charming and all very strong, and like you could see any of them being in the top 3, it just became so apparent as time went on that, like, okay, Bob won. And I don't begrudge him his win. I think he earned it. It's just that
they all
it's boring.
Earned their spot
It's not interesting TV.
That's the thing that we really were just upset about, was like, like I'm tired of being told who the winner is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, nobody likes a front runner. Like, really, nobody really. I always end up. I just
want to be surprised.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm just tired of being told like how brilliant the same person is, and that's the only story that you hear about this person. And then whenever they had to like say something negative, it was always like, well, here's what we're gonna try to throw you off because this is already written. It was like the feel of it, but somehow it was less offensive than last season, where like all the like real moments were so clunkily inserted into the show that like nothing felt genuine. And this time everything felt genuine, and they were all like nicer people. Like, even if you just like don't like a front runner, Bob was a pretty nice front runner.
Everyone was so nice, and they were all friends.
And I didn't mind it at all. I was
I
like,
really liked it.
It's so funny because RuPaul always says about this show, like, this show is really about the triumph of the human spirit. That's what really gets you, is like all these people have been through like so much shit and hell in their life, and it takes a lot for them to drag themselves out of it, literally, and like, be able to put on a show for people and do something, this art form that they love. It's like there's a genuine human story involved in how every one of these people got to this point in their life and this phase of their life. So that can't help but come through. But last season I felt like kind of was like the heartless season almost. Yeah. And this season they went overboard. They're like, we got to make it super nice, guys. Like, we really got to erase the bitter edge of last season.
I do feel like they are all actually friends or on friendly terms. Because the most shocking thing that we learned is that Cynthia Lee Fontaine is like in recovery from stage 1 liver cancer. That the only person that like visited her and took care of her was Acid Betty. Which we all knew that Acid Betty's not an asshole. And she's like, I'm a bitch. I'm like, if you have to keep telling me you're a bitch, I know that you're not one.
Yeah, we are not seeing it on camera.
Well, she did say some pretty shitty things to people, like when Kimchi got the video from Trixie in Untucked, and basically she spent the whole like next 20 minutes talking about how hideous Trixie is. And I'm like, you do realize like her friend is like sitting right there, like you're right in front of her friend.
Also, Trixie will see this, and then you're gonna have to see her, because you guys are all part of the same team.
Yeah,
whether you like it or not.
Like, if I don't know if Acid Betty made it long enough to get on the Bots tour, but we'll see, because I think Trixie did, so they might run into each other.
They be beefing.
Kind of like when Alaska and Sharon Needles are like always on the tours together, but they always say they're friendly. I don't see them hanging out in the meet and greets, but they're always they are usually on opposite sides of the room.
They don't feel friendly,
but like Sharon's look.
It was a look.
Is interesting in the French way.
Sure, don't drag my people into this.
It's very interesting. God, like, what was that? Like, and did you notice we didn't really get a clear look at it? It was like kind of from far away or from an odd angle.
Wide
they
shot.
Like wouldn't give us like a real close up of Sharon's look.
The camera never stops.
I'm like, is this intentional on her part to make it like horrifying in a way? Because she is more punk than people give her credit for now, even though she's super popular. She still does shit like that to like deliberately get that kind of reaction out of people, and people usually misread what she's doing or misinterpret it in some way. But I was not sure what was going on with that look. And then Jinx came out, who was like, people were all like, oh, she's the one who had trouble with her looks, and I'm like, she comes out looking like amazing, and I'm like,
I don't think I've ever seen Jinx since she's won, have trouble. Even in the show, I don't remember having trouble with her looks.
It was like...
She had trouble in the beginning, but then...
But they really weren't that
Like,
bad.
Yeah,
they
It
were.
was like they kept saying that she was too much of a
It was
character.
never Derek Barry's eyebrows bad.
Oh my god. It wasn't that like Halloween costume coming apart bad.
Which
You know, and I was
you
like,
have to be specific.
oh, the one, it looked like sort of like a Star Wars-ish like
with
bodysuit thing. Oh no,
The
that
cell
was something that
towers?
was Bob's. Oh no, the one with the cell tower /
Yeah.
horse penises that Derek wore.
Wait, you're talking about Bob's
that one
robot
where he-
outfit?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the one that he like ripped.
Yeah, it was like, how are you getting away with this?
It's
Like,
like
how are you getting
it's like
credit
he
for
saved
having
his
good
robot
looks
outfit from
Yeah.
the 80s.
on the runway, and then like they were so hypercritical of like certain other queens.
Oh, Chi-Chi. Oh, Chi-Chi.
Poor Chi-Chi, because I
She
don't know.
looks so good. Looking
She
good
did.
is the best revenge.
Yeah, watching the finale, I really kind of wanted to see Chi-Chi as one of the final 3 because I just felt like her
She would have been more
her
entertaining.
lip sync would have been way better.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, she would have had the best lip
That's
sync.
true, because it would have finally been another queen that could dance. I actually didn't know
Yeah.
Bob could dance that well. I was
Oh
very
no,
impressed.
we've seen Bob
There was
dance
one.
well
I've
in a
seen
couple.
him dance. I've seen him do like the Soul Train thing.
But is
I
it,
haven't really
there's-
seen him
there's a-
dance.
But there's like a genuine performance when he dances too.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
not just dance moves. It's like he completely commits to like a character and then plays it full out. So if that character dances, then he finds a way to perform. I keep saying he because he chose the name Bob the Drag
I know,
Queen.
and I do it with
Yeah.
Derek too. So apologies. It's
like
not
I-
intentional. It's just kind
I
of.
mean,
like
I
a
don't think the
subconscious
name was
brain
that
thing.
great either. That's why I was always like, I was being sold Bob from the very beginning of the show, and I always
'cause
instinctively
everyone is
reject
like,
it when
"Oh
people
my God,
try to
it's
shove
so
something down my throat that I
creative."
didn't open my mouth for. Like,
It's so creative. It's so creative. Bob the Drag Queen. So do you get the joke? Because it's like a dude name, but he's a drag queen.
and I'm like, this isn't a brilliant joke, but it's like, you really need me to believe it so that I'm into like the story you're gonna sell me all season. So I felt like that the whole time. You can't. I'm sorry. We have degrees in film and media studies from UC Berkeley. They count for something. Like, I can see this shit a mile away. So it's like, usually, like when I like,
I just don't understand why. I mean, this really, honestly, overall, really hurt his, I don't know, chances for suspense going forward because they did the hard sell so early on up front. Like, I have no problem. Like, he's funny, he's talented. Why couldn't I just like watched it on the show instead of being told all the time?
I feel like now it's like they almost pick people. They don't want to have the situation where you're rooting for somebody, because the way they used to edit the show, the way it used to be was like the people that won, like everybody had a story. Like Tyra Sanchez when she won was you know,
Yeah.
like Bibi Zahara Benet.
Who still looks fabulous.
Season 3 was
Oh, yeah.
Like, she's
Raja.
like preserved.
Right? She still has those amazing like ratted wigs that I love. I love those wigs. They're so amazing. But it's like they all had like kind of like a something that made you root for them. And the last couple seasons didn't really have characters that you root for. Because it's like you never got a sense of Bob having, I mean, obviously Bob had to have struggled like every other gay
Sure.
person in their life. You know, they've all had similar experiences. He's a person of color. He's experienced the things that go on with that. But like, he never gave off that vibe, so it was difficult to root for him because you felt like he'd already made it. And why would you root for somebody who's already made it? And Violet was like someone you could kind of tell was like right up there at the top, even though I wanted to discredit her.
Mm-hmm.
Because that interview video was so bad.
I felt like that put us both off on the wrong foot with her.
Right? But then two of the people with the two worst videos in those were part of the top 3.
Pearl and Violet.
They had the worst. They were the worst in the interviews, but I don't know.
But Pearl ended up actually being a lot funnier and weirder as the show went on, and I really liked that more than what I ever thought you could get from that intro video where she just looked asleep. And I was like, is she doing a Paris Hilton impression? Like Paris Hilton on Quaaludes or something?
I don't know, but everybody like particularly seasons 4 and 5, like with Sharon and Jinx, like you really like felt like there was a part of them that was kind of like broken that they had like somehow managed to fix or were really trying hard to keep from breaking again, kind of.
Yeah.
Like as they're going through this crazy experience, it's like you really felt like they really edited it to so that you saw like Jinx sort of getting attacked by lots of other people, and like the only person who kind of called it was Ivy Winters.
Amy
Winters. Who is like, you know, the other girls are they're threatened by her. Like that's why they're all like picking on her. Like they know that she's a threat, and like I'm positive that's why. and it's just, it made sense the way they edited that season. So you spent the whole season like feeling like you wanted the person who was most put upon but was clearly like super talented to win. So you were driven to root for Sharon Needles. You were driven to root for Jinx. I feel like you were driven to root for Tyra Sanchez, but the last 2 seasons you were not really driven to root for the winner.
You were
They
told,
didn't edit the story
and
that
way.
way.
You either jump on it or you don't.
Yeah, you either get on the train or you are running to catch it as it flies by you because you're late.
Yeah. I wonder, though, because last season had its problems with, whatever. It just sort of was lackluster in a lot of ways. This season, it seemed like everyone was such great friends that there wasn't a lot of attacking going on except for, like, Derek Barry. But,
God.
So there may not have been as many of those scenes to cut together. No one was being attacked for being the best, really.
So that's a good point. That may,
because a lot of the
definitely
attacks
contributed.
on Bob were Bob saying these bitches hate me.
It's
Yeah,
like you're
that's not an
telling
attack.
us, like,
While
you're,
laughing. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bob, I feel like, is such a good sport in general that you can't really say anything to make
that's
him
really
upset.
gonna
Yeah.
upset him. That's why
I
like
loved what his brother said. He's like, yeah, he used to cry on my birthday because it wasn't about him. I was like, yup, he seems like the type.
that makes
Perfect.
sense because it's like the thing I really didn't like about this finale was the like so many like, oh, I've got to make you cry moments. Like,
Well,
tell me about your troubles. What's been going on recently, Cynthia Lee Fontaine? Oh, you had
Yeah.
cancer. Oh my goodness. And so this is a moment for us to have this crying moment. And then like, what did you do with that $3,000 you won in that challenge, Kimchi? Oh, I gave it to my mother because she worked so hard. Like, not saying that any of these things are not true, but
and trotting out Naomi's mom and some of her siblings, probably in a blatant attempt to
yes,
make her
exactly.
cry.
I was like so many of those. I'm like, can you just stop with this? Like,
Well, I feel like
really?
it started to become
has
a
to
little
be-
too obvious last season when they held up, and they did it again this season, but when they held up their baby pictures and Pearl
But
had a breakdown.
Yeah.
And you haven't seen Pearl express an emotion at all, and you're
So
like,
it's like the only way they can get Bob to react emotionally is like, bring your mom out. We know you love her, and it's like, oh,
he
she's
almost
really
cried
sick.
during Carol Channing's video.
Well, I would have. I would have
He was
too.
a tear was wiping away.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Like that's
what
a
they
good
wanted.
cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
And,
But I feel like Bob saw through their game of trying to make him cry, because like when he was talking about his mom, he started crying. He's like, "Bitch, you got me." It's like I feel
he
like it
said
was
that
his whole
before
point.
when he cried talking about her in the one-on-one interviews during the season. That was the only other time that they got him to cry, so they already knew what his weak spot
Right.
Yeah.
was.
But I'm glad that he saw through their shit and was like, "This is what you guys wanted. Fine, I'm crying.
And
You
then
happy?"
his mother showed up, and I'm like, I thought you said she was like, oh, she's too sick to come. And I'm like, well, she got all done up for this video. She looks great. Like, I hope that means she's getting better.
I don't know. I
Or is
wonder
it
if
just
it's
a
like chronic
situation where
illness.
she's like, I am not going to be seen on camera, on television, looking like a sickly old woman. I'm going to make myself look good.
I'm sure it's that
Yeah.
one.
Because I hope it means that she's doing better. Because it was kind of odd when he was like, oh, my mom is so ill, and it's making me sad. And I was like, he was talking about her like she was dead. And I'm like, wait, she's alive?
I know.
It was a strange cut.
It was, I was
And it
like,
was
wait a
especially
minute, you
after
mean she's not dead?
Especially after Thorgy's
Thorgy's-
sad story, I was like, oh my god, Bob's mom's dead. He's like, she's fine. I was like, oh,
Like,
oh,
wait,
okay.
what?
Oh, good.
Like,
Why
why
did you guys edit it like this?
Yeah.
Like, that's bizarre. I'm like, it's kind of like when they had to get everyone to cry in the one-on-one luncheon with Rue, which they don't do anymore either.
Oh, the Tic Tacs.
I want
It's
lunch
so
with
disappointing.
a
And so I
single
think-
Tic Tac on a giant plate. I
Yeah.
want
And so
that
I
damn
felt like
lunch
those
date.
after lip sync performances, the whatever you want, like the tete-a-tete with Rue was supposed to substitute that. And I didn't like that. It like I like
It
immediately
used to be a
bristled.
private
It
moment
upset
that
me.
was filmed and obviously put on the show, but now it's like in front of a live studio
Yeah,
audience.
so but
Yeah,
it feels
it's
like
not
a lot
the
more
same.
impersonal, and it feels like more of like part of the spectacle.
And they can't have like a real conversation the way they do there, because in those conversations it's like Rue's like, you really get like how sort of like genuinely zen and how much Rue actually sees everything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because the questions he asks them are so direct to like right to the heart of like what's going on in there. Like, he hasn't talked to them that much all season,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he knows, he can tell, and he knows enough from what the research they did to get them on the show. And it's like, dude, no, like, those are good moments, and they like can't work the same in a live, on stage in front of a live audience the same way that they did there. So I wish they would go back to that, because then you get a really genuine reaction. But it was like,
Yeah.
Bob's like, my mother's so ill, I'm like talking about her like she's dead, but she's not dead. It was like when Alaska got into that lunch and she had nothing to contribute because she loved her life. You know, like she was still with Sharon Needles at the time. But you're like, what are you afraid of? I'm afraid of dying. I'm like, okay, wait. Roxy was abandoned at a bus stop by her mother.
Nothing
Jinx had an
trumps
alcoholic mother who raised her brother and kept the family going through that period of their lives. And you're scared of dying one day. Like, that's kind of insulting. Because she's like such a sweet person, or she was. I don't know. She's like, nah, I haven't ever really met her. Only a couple times here and there. But she was really nice then. So it's like, and I've always heard that she's super sweet. But I'm like, that always kind of stuck weirdly with me. And I'm like, no, I'm not buying this. Like, but with Bob, at least it was the only time he cried, the only time they got him to, and he seemed like mad about it. So I'm like, no, I think this is real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they had to do it again. That's the only way they could. Who else was in the video messages? Like, Naomi got a message from was it Lena Headey?
I don't know. I don't
What's
watch
her name from Game of Thrones?
Yeah, that's Game of Thrones. I didn't get it.
She was a guest judge last season or the season before. I think season 6 maybe. She was a guest judge on the show.
So
they
talk about Naomi Campbell calling out Naomi Smalls. Why didn't Naomi Campbell make a video? They just like couldn't get her to do it.
Naomi Campbell probably didn't even really care that much. She was like in an interview mentioned Naomi Smalls.
I have a hard time believing that Rue doesn't know a supermodel. Like, you could have gotten Gigi Hadid and that would have made way more sense.
Yeah, to go from Naomi Campbell to this woman from Game of Thrones that I don't know, like, why?
It's not that we don't necessarily know her. It's more
sure
like
she's
it makes
great.
no sense in the context to Naomi's journey.
No, or like who she is as a drag persona. Yeah. Like, I was thinking,
what part of her drag persona is influenced by Game of Thrones? None of it.
None of it. Part.
I didn't know. I was like, maybe they just had her say something, and then like they were looking for something to put up for Naomi Smalls' part in the finale, and they're like, oh, this chick said, okay, the girl from Game of Thrones liked Naomi, so we're gonna use that video.
I mean, honestly, I know that Amber Rose has been on Gay for Play. And why couldn't you have just gotten her? That would have even made more sense.
Yeah, it would.
It just, in the context of who Naomi is, it just, I get it. It's fine. I understand. It's like, we didn't have anything, but I feel like you could have.
You could have had a lot of things. I thought it was interesting that Kimchi still doesn't know that.
Or her mom doesn't know.
Her mom doesn't know that she does drag. And that she's like, no, she's
and Rue
very
is
Korean American.
With this.
Like, she doesn't watch this. She will never watch this. She doesn't like anything about American culture. She will not watch this show. I know she'll never see it. Like, very confident. And it's kind of like I have that same confidence in, like, I'm pretty sure that if I was on Drag Race, there are certain members of my Indian family, not the ones who live here, the ones who all live in the U.S., they would all know, and most of them, I'm sure, would cheer me on if I was ever to do that, which will not happen. But my family in India would, like, obviously, they would never even know that it happened. Unless I made a big deal about being, like, the first Indian queen, because there still has not been an Indian queen on the show in all these years. You rarely even see Indian drag anywhere. And I'm like, it's like the culture whose fashion is like tailor made for drag. Like, you should be like, everybody should be stealing from Indian fashion or Indian, like, looks for their drag, I think, because there's so much to work with. I feel like every drag queen should have like a stockpile of sari fabric.
Well, they all apparently have a stockpile of fucking kimonos.
Oh my god, thank god that they never let us never speak of that again.
Well, Nisha was like, "Oh yeah, I would have worn a kimono." I was like, "Why?"
Of course, because you're not creative.
And they cut to Alyssa Edwards' face, and she was like, but in that way that her face looks when she's she was upset, and I was like, "Thank you,
thank you, Alyssa."
Best reaction.
Why? Like, why?
Where's the gif of that?
I don't know. I haven't made it yet.
Make it.
Wait, did Sharon come out dressed up like Madonna?
Raja came
out. Oh, it was Raja. I felt like that was her being like, "This is how you do it, you idiots."
It absolutely was.
It was. Yeah, it was like, this is how you do the Night of 1,000 Madonnas, people.
I cannot believe I never want to see a kimono for as long as I live.
I was so upset about it. I was just so upset because I was like waiting for like the creative, like, oh, there's so many things you could do with Madonna.
Kimono Madonna is the least interesting Madonna. Why?
Right. Why? Exactly. I was like, I loved that Betty did bedtime stories was just unfortunate. It was the same week that she was clearly going to be in the bottom and couldn't.
They
dance
even
in
got
it.
Nancy Grace to make a fucking video for
Nancy
Acid Betty.
Grace?
Like,
And
what
that was
happened
great. Oh my
to
God.
Naomi's video? She was a goddamn top 3er. But I feel like Naomi was like, okay, and then there's Naomi. It's like,
Because Naomi Campbell probably just didn't like.
No, I mean
no.
in terms of like the top 3, it was like very much all about Bob, and then a close second was Kimchi, and it was like, oh yeah, and then Naomi.
We have to do something with Naomi.
It felt like a little bit of an afterthought, and they should just be happy that
It was.
because she's 21, she is really, truly just happy to be there.
Yeah. Which, again, honestly, like, when Rue was talking to Chi-Chi, I felt like Chi-Chi was top 3. I didn't feel like Naomi was top 3.
I love Chi-Chi so much.
Chi-Chi's top 3 in my heart.
Yes.
Well, like she said, she's
And
quit
she's a
both
real-
her jobs, and now she's a full-time drag queen.
I actually
she's
applaud
great.
it. I was
She's
so
I'm
doing
like,
well,
that
yeah.
was, that's like I hope that will become like, because she's going to be on the tour. I think
Oh,
she went far enough to make it. She's going to always be on the tour, so she'll make money doing that. She'll have representation, somebody who can like, not bargain for, but who can argue for her to be paid.
I mean, if
Yeah.
Shangela can get a mini cameo in X-Files, we can get Chi-Chi in
Shangela's been
something.
in a bunch of shit. Like, Shangela and Jinx always turn up on Logo's Cocktail with Classics.
Oh, cool.
Usually, I think Jinx is always in drag. I can't remember if Jinx ever showed up as whatever
Jinx's
real name. I
man
forgot what
name
it
is.
was, but one of my friends was
I don't know what it is either.
liked by him on Grindr in New York City and had his phone number and never used it. I'm like, we need to be inviting this person out, you dumbass. Now
Okay,
he's been
this
a
is
wonderful
why-
partner, so it's like I don't begrudge him for having not pursued somebody on Grindr. He obviously made the right decision. Rich Doctor Boy who plays piano, how can you argue? So,
Drag queen.
well, I don't know. Jinx had her show was actually supposed to be really good and always
I thought
busy
you
when
went
it
to
toured.
that.
No, I was like all sold out the days that I was actually available to go.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh, fuck, okay, I guess I'm not going to see the second part of this Vaudevillians show, what everybody keeps raving about. So it's like, they all, even if you don't win, like, you clearly go on to do so much more work than you did before. And it's like, you really, like, see Chi-Chi was the story.
Yeah.
That was the story.
That's who you're rooting for.
But she became so bitchy sometimes that, like, you're just like, you're making it difficult for me to root for you when you do shit like this. But she was really the only one that had that kind of story this season. She didn't make it to the finale, so you could tell that she wasn't win because it wasn't edited for you to completely root for her. They threw in enough of like her bad moments to offset the ones where you were like heartbroken or you really felt like really sad about something. Like she got something in like deep down in you, and then they do something to make you like snap right out of it. Like they did not do that with Jinx. I don't know if Jinx even had that moment because Jinx is even in her one-on-one interviews was like so. I mean, she was overwhelmed sometimes emotionally, but she was never like super shady, like in a mean way. She would just tell it like it is. But
what I loved about the finale was seeing Derek Barry being as salty as ever. Still,
Derek.
And his eyebrows have gotten better.
They have
But
gotten
let's
better.
talk about how Derek now no longer looks a lot like Britney Spears and more like Courtney Act and Britney Spears had like a weird baby named Derek Barry who has strange eyebrows.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing. There was a little bit of
'Cause in
Courtney
that-
Act.
Because even in Bob's first video, we all agreed the first couple shots that you see Derek Barry, you're like, is that No, is it Courtney? I can't fucking tell. Someone tell me.
She did get better then, because Courtney's known for being like super fishy, gorgeous queen.
Derek has always been very
Derek
fishy.
looks like a girl, yeah. I mean,
But
that-
only
she
like
pulls that
Britney.
off.
Like a very
Yes,
bitchy
like Britney.
cheerleader.
He wasn't able to make it work if he wasn't, because his bone structure, I guess, was so similar. He just had to like put makeup on like a woman would put makeup on, as opposed to like having to literally paint a whole face like all the other queens do.
But there have been other queens that have that bone structure where they could just put makeup on, but they do drag.
Like Stacey Lane Matthews, although there was one shot of her in the audience in the finale, and everybody was like, "Oh, oof, what is that look? What are you doing?" And she's one who like looked kind of female, like naturally.
Yeah.
So she really could have just put makeup on, but she still did the full thing, like usually. I don't know, maybe it was a dark day for her, that finale. Maybe her plane got in late, I don't know. But it was an elaborate look, but it was something about it was just so like, grr.
Well, Derek, although his eyebrows did not elicit that reaction the same way that it did during the book ball.
They still haunt me.
I cannot unsee
Like,
them.
I can't. It's so horrifying.
And they had to include it in his little like farewell package that they
I'm
played
like,
right before.
oh,
And I was like,
stop.
no.
Don't let me see those weird eyebrows like 5 inches above his eyes. Like,
And so thin.
So thin.
So thin.
bad.
He looked like one of those.
brain.
Oh my gosh. Because Sean, my boyfriend's family is from Palm Desert. You see a lot of women with like tattooed makeup on their face.
Oh,
so he looked like
God.
one of those older women that have like the eyebrow tattoos, but it's faded and they need like a brush up, so it's like really faint and thin. You're like, oh, it looks like it hurts.
like was it Little Richard who has a? Is he the one who has a tattooed
Tiny pencil
tiny
thin mustache.
pencil thin mustache? Oh dear.
Well, yeah, Derek still salty as ever. I like how he can't even pay a compliment without it sounding mean.
I know, it's like, is this just like what happens when he's in front of a camera? Or it's kind of like, when people, remember when that one girl, Chantal or somebody, or when people would get eliminated and come back into a competition, they never seem to do as well because it's like they've experienced what life is like outside of the fishbowl again. And then having to go back into the fishbowl is like even more horrifying a prospect. It's like, I really want to win, but like I really don't like who I was in this atmosphere. And it's like, I think he's someone that in that atmosphere, it just brings out the worst in him. And it's not going to change just because you've been out. It's like once you get, it's just kind of like, you know what's going to happen when you hang out with a certain type of person, or you know what's going to happen when you meet your mom for dinner. You just know how that evening's going to go. And if you know it's going to go badly, it's going to go badly. You can try to save it, but no matter what, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, the more he talked, I was like, just
stop.
I think it's time to pretend you had some technical difficulties with his mic, like some...
That felt great for me.
Well, at least you know it worked.
You shady bitch.
Where is it?
Yeah, there's always like a struggle to find the button for a second.
I keep forgetting where it is.
There you go.
Not anymore.
Good job.
Thank you. But yeah, there was no suspense whatsoever. Although the realness video that we finally saw was surprisingly actually fun. I liked it. Like, it was a little, not much of a song.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know.
It
I
had
enjoyed
some legs / purse first / fat feminine Asian
the
feels to it.
realness. I don't know. I liked it though. I actually enjoyed it a lot. I watched the whole thing. The real reason to watch this finale though was like the weird teasers for All Stars Season 2.
What a delightful segue.
Because they kind of were like totally throwing us off because a lot of the queens we saw in the teasers were all like people who were all eliminated first.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, well, if any of those people are in All Stars, I will be so pissed. Like, no, they're not All Stars. Those are the people who proved that they weren't stars compared to the rest of the competitors.
But don't they had to have been on Drag Race for a certain amount of episodes, right? To be considered an all-star, like, because they didn't bring anybody back from the first time that they did All-Stars that got eliminated first, I don't think.
No. The only person that was closest was Mimi I'm First, who I think was eliminated, but she was eliminated a little later, probably like 4 or 5 episodes in, I think. Wasn't even the first 3.
Yeah, it wasn't first.
But everyone else were like people who went pretty far, like Yara Sofia and Alexis Mateo. Like, Alexis Mateo was top 3.
Wasn't Chad in top 3
Chad
too?
was top 3, paired with Chanel. Chanel might have been top 3 if I never liked Chanel, but nonetheless, she was first season. She was like top 4. Pandora was like top 5, I think. She was like.
Yeah, Pandora made it pretty far, I thought.
She made it pretty far.
Yeah.
I think that the soonest eliminated
she was
person.
on Battle of the Season, so you have to also go a certain amount of episodes before you get to be on
Yeah, and she got paired. I remember she got paired with Mimi M First, and she was pissed. And she was just like, okay, like that was where she saw it from the outside looking in. Like, okay, I basically just got paired with the one that like nobody likes, and I basically been fucked. And I will definitely like. She knew instantly she wasn't gonna win. Everyone's like, oh well, she gave up before she started. And I'm like, I have a feeling she saw the writing on the wall when she got paired with Mimi M First, because we knew Mimi M First wasn't gonna win. That you just knew that Mimi M First wasn't gonna get to the final 2 groups, which is what you needed to at least have a chance at winning, and you just knew that was not going to happen.
So who do we think? So we didn't get to see very much. I mean, we didn't get to see anything really. Bless you.
Sorry.
From the All Stars Season 2 or All Stars 2
they just kept reminding us that it's going to be in the fall.
Was it like the Ruvention?
The Ruvention.
Something like that.
The closest... somebody told me that there was... Somebody
Redemption.
online had a Redemption. There you go.
I got it.
That's the one. I don't know if Ru's used it yet.
No, but it was used in the
Not
trailer.
on the show yet.
Yeah. So, I mean, all we know... I feel like the best list of
the
possible
one-
queens is the ones that we saw from
Oh, no, they didn't.
They have some pretty good sleuths on that website.
They do.
And I feel like I trust them because
See,
a
no
lot of their
incognito.
blind items always come true. And so...
They're like the National Enquirer of the internet.
They are. I feel like they would take that as a compliment.
I think they would, and rightly so. But they're the ones who, obviously, the person who noticed first was Willem.
Right.
Willem picked it out right away.
Yeah, he was the one that started seeing a trend on everybody's
because he wasn't
social media.
invited to be there. So we know that Willem is not going to be on the All-Stars unless it's a big surprise and it was all part of some genius marketing. Because Ru can be smart like that.
Right.
You have to be more clever when you have less money to work with. But I did not get the sense that it was planned like that.
Yeah, I think Willem is on a lot of wish lists. I don't know if
He's always one of the best voted, but yeah, he didn't get on. But he said, looks like the queens all got 5 minutes with Wi-Fi for good behavior. Subtly is a hard word to spell and even harder characteristic to master. And that was at the end of August last summer. And he was noting
Which is when we knew that they were filming.
We were filming that, and a bunch of queens that we really love from past seasons all went like completely silent on social media for like at least like the next 2 weeks. And then all in the same like day, within the same 2 days, they all suddenly had tweets.
Interesting.
Or like Facebook posts, they're like whatever, they were like not updating anything. So it was like Alyssa Edwards is rumored to be on.
And I've seen that rumor on several different sites.
Like
I've
most people seem to agree that how could you not have Alyssa on an All-Star season?
You have to have Alyssa.
Like, obviously.
I think that the only argument against is that she basically owns World of Wonder. Like, she's her own little star on there. And, like, why would she stop doing that to get back on? But I feel like she's a smart and savvy queen. Why wouldn't she?
Yeah, just more exposure. Why not?
Exactly.
Exactly. And so, who else? Alaska. She was voted number 2 on one of the polls for people to come back for All-Stars. Same thing. She went silent on August 14th on her Twitter and everything.
It sounds like we're filing missing persons reports.
And then she was back on the 26th. So it was like everybody was like stopped posting around the 14th. Like within give or take a day.
They shot within 2 weeks?
Well, at least after those 2 weeks, everyone was allowed to use social media or something to like, okay, everybody go post something to throw people off, kind of whatever. But like, you had to wait that long before you could do that. So whether you were eliminated already or not, like you still got to have that like little bit of time where you did whatever was it that I think the show wanted them to do. Because Alaska's the other one that everybody I think wants to see on an All-Stars.
Yeah.
And she also was the same thing. Give or take a day from the 13th or 14th, 25th, 26th. They
Alaska's
disappeared. It's like one of those alien
whereabouts.
shows. Like, was it the Fallen or the 44 or whatever?
4400?
4400? No, the ones about the shows about like the people who were all like a whole town who like disappeared and then reappeared. And they're like, we were abducted by aliens. That's why we were.
Oh, I'm like, not the happening.
No, not that.
Okay.
Let's never speak of that again.
We shan't.
Katya is another one. Same deal.
Right. Yeah, because I also remember her lack of... She, like, posts to Instagram with pretty good frequency. So she didn't for, like, a couple of days. I'm like, that's weird. I haven't seen any, like...
Because she posts on everything all the time.
Any Russian dolls
like
or any,
Tumblr,
like, weird... Yeah. She's pretty active.
Instagram, Twitter. She's always doing something.
She's your wacky aunt.
Just like the mom in American Horror Story.
From which
Hotel.
season? Oh.
Yes, Doris with her 3 Twitter followers or whatever.
Yes.
But yeah, same thing. Detox is another one rumored. Had a sort
Same
of
deal.
Well, she had, I think, programmed updates that were all like directly from like horoscopes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know that about Detox.
Yes, and then she had an actual like post, like 26th of August, same day. Adore.
I heard that too.
Adore had a similar pattern on social media. Tatiana from season 2. The better Britney.
I was gonna
Snatch
say
Game.
the best Britney Snatch Game.
Am I the only one doing it? Smells like home. Who else?
Also, I loved her Britney outfit more than I liked Derek's. Because Derek's was way more like polished Britney. And the way that Tatiana dressed it was like
the way
going
Britney
to
actually
KFC.
dresses
Yeah,
to go
it was
out.
amazing. Like the dumb hat. And I think it was maybe whatever year it came out, which I can't remember right now. But those like Congo hats.
Oh, God.
It was great. I thought her outfit was so much better. It was real Britney. It wasn't stage Britney.
I remember that. Always chewing gum.
Yeah. The one that talks like she's chewing the side of her face.
Where the hell is Carolyn? I know what you're talking about.
I know you do. That's why I said it.
Oh my goodness. Other queens. Roxy Andrews.
Okay.
Bitch extraordinaire.
So it's like basically everybody that like almost made it to the top 3 or were in the top 3.
Fifi O'Hara.
Oh.
Coco Montrese.
Her 365 days of drag have been really great.
Yeah.
She's been pretty good. So
Well,
it'll
her
be fun to
cartoon
see.
Very impressive.
I know. All of her cartoon characters have been
Amazing.
on point. Yeah. I think did she do Carmen Sandiego? She did
Oh,
some...
somebody should.
Yeah, she's done a lot of
But
childhood
see, here's
dreams
one.
come true.
Yeah. Here's one that was eliminated first that there's a rumor about was Kelly Mantle. People rumored about her because she said something about taking the next few weeks to film and record some really exciting projects. And that was her excuse for being silent on social media on August 14th.
That bitch.
And then I don't know if it said that when she came back. It didn't mention when she started posting again.
Wait, was
though.
that Kennedy?
No, this is Lanisha Sparks.
Oh, okay. I was
Lanisha
just looking
Sparks.
at it, so down.
They said that season 5's Puerto Rican queen Lanisha scored number 53 on the poll, and seems to have confirmed her casting outright in an Instagram post on August 3rd. Just straight up RuPaul All Stars Drag Race is what she posted on Instagram.
Has it since
at the
been
beginning of
deleted?
August? I haven't checked to go way too far back.
Yeah.
Her last post was August 13th.
So, who would you guys want to see besides Katya? Because I think we're all in agreement on that.
I'd love to see Max come back, just
Oh,
because I want to see what Max would do, but Max, I don't
Did you
think...
see Max in the crowd?
Yes, I love the look. I'm like, why is the look that you are here for this year's finale better than the one you wore to the one you were on stage for last season? Like, why would you... because I love Max's looks. I'd love to see what else Max... Because Max was actually super creative, too. I thought, even though it was the gray hair all the time, and I'm like...
I liked her Haunted
care.
Mansion vibe.
Yes, I liked it, even though she should not have done Sharon Needles and Snatch Game.
That was awful. She
yeah.
just basically dressed sort of like Sharon and then just did her regular voice.
Yeah, it was not good. Not good at all.
Alright, who would you want to see?
That's a good question. So many names going through my head. I don't know.
They're not going to have Pandora back, so...
Raven?
Shangela.
Has Raven been on
That's
any?
what I was going to say. Was Raven on?
Raven was on the
last
first All
All-Stars?
Stars.
Yeah.
With
Raven was
Jujubee.
going to be my pick.
Damn it.
Oh.
Let's see. I was trying to think who other... Like, Stacey Lane Matthews. Nah. You have to think of people that, actually everybody remembers
Was
from
Manila
that season.
Luzon on the last All-Stars? I would like to see Manila Luzon, if not.
Let me see.
That's my pick.
Final answer.
Final answer, Manila Luzon. Although I was kind of perturbed by the fact that she repeated an outfit from her season to the finale this year.
Oh, really?
The pineapple dress and pineapple purse that she had, she wore on her season. She's I mean, it's a great outfit, but she's been hanging on to it for that, 6
She knows how great
years.
it is.
And she wore, I'm like, girl, you stole your own look for the red carpet.
Stole it back.
You need to come up with something new.
So I saw a rumor. I can't remember on what website. It might have. It maybe isn't so much a rumor as much as it is also a wish list. But they were calling for Ginger Minge, which I thought was
that
interesting.
seems like
In
it would be
All-Stars.
a good choice because they haven't confirmed. Someone was saying there's obviously going to be a 12th person, they think, because that was only 11 that was on that list on Oh No They Didn't. They're like, but the person who wrote the article was like, I've combed everyone's Facebook, Twitter. He did the full online stalking thing for each of the queens that was on the show. He put a lot of work into that article because that's a lot of queens. There's 100 now. There's been 100 on Drag Race. It's quite a milestone for it to hit, and I hope it goes on for another 100 until Rue is like some crotchety old woman with a cane, like Alice Walker, just bitching about all of them. But I'm trying to see who contestants were for the first All Stars, just to confirm. Manila Luzon was on it, I thought so.
Yeah.
With Latrice.
Oh.
And Nina Flowers and Tammy Brown were there together. Pandora Box and Mimi I first. Gone! But yeah, so Manila has been on it already.
Well, maybe... Well, I'm still going back from, like, last season's well, because I think I might like to see Trixie. I
would like to see
I
Trixie.
wish
Yeah.
that someday... They'll never let her do it, but they'll never let her do that Snatch game that she had prepared.
Which one?
The one where she did Anne Frank.
Oh my
in her
god!
audition video.
That was one of the funniest
It was
things I've
genius. And
ever
I'm like,
seen.
I love that she said in the video, she's like, they wouldn't even let me bring it into the studio. Like, I wasn't even allowed to pack it. Like, they didn't even want it in the building. They were so like, don't bring this anywhere near our
No
production.
possibility this is getting on camera.
It was the best.
None. It was so good. It was so brilliant. I'm like, I was like, just for that alone, kind of like for Cookie alone, Bob like earned his place in the finale of this season. Like, it was so right up there with that moment and Robbie Turner's lip sync in roller skates were like my.
I'm gonna send you a bill for the light bulb.
Fine, send it. Send me to the collections. I'm not paying. I'm trying to see who else from the different seasons are like, because there's seriously, it's hard to remember 100.
Yeah.
100 seasons. So I don't think anyone else from season 1 is going to be on it. Except maybe Angina, people were thinking, but I'm not really attached to Angina being on the show. Let's see. Season 2, Tyra Sanchez 1, Raven Jujubee have already been there. Tatiana's rumored to be there. Jessica Wilde, I don't know what she's doing. Sahara Davenport has passed away. Morgan McMichaels, no thank you. Shangela hasn't been on All Stars, so that's a possibility, but Shangela kind of has like a real career. Like, she doesn't I don't know if she even has, she might actually be busy to take a whole month out to film that show. Delta Work, Carmen Carrera is, I think, a transgender woman now, as is Sonique.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Sonique from season 2 was someone who was didn't realize at the time, but that was like a transitional period to being the woman she was always supposed to be. Let's see, season 4, we already saw Chad Michaels come in and win, but there's Latrice. I think Latrice is like one I think everybody wants to see.
Right, and Latrice wasn't on the first.
She was on the first, so we've already seen her lose on that. Fifi has not been. Kenya Michaels hasn't been, but I don't really care that much. Dita Ritz, Jiggly Caliente, I would love to see.
That would be funny.
That would be fun, because I love Jiggly. Madame LaQueer, Milan, no. Princess, saw her for free in San Francisco already, no. LaShawn Beyond, no. Lisa Summers, no. But you saw a bunch of those people, like, in the trailers. That's why everyone's like, this is just a big slap in the face, because we know none of those people are going to be there. And then, that's the All-Stars season. We went through that. And then, of course, season 5, Jinx already won. She's got a career, doesn't need to come back. Alaska is right up there. And Alaska and Detox and Coco and Alyssa...
Oh, wow.
Are all from that season. This was one of the best. That's why I think it's one of the best seasons. Like, it had so many, like, amazing personalities and stars. All that. I mean, God help us. Serena Cha-Cha just don't come back on the show. Maybe she's amazing now. I have no idea. But I never see anything about her performing. So I don't know what she's like. Penetration, don't even need you. Well, I mean, outside of Drag Race. Definitely.
Right.
The word, the action.
For the purposes of this conversation, we don't need her.
We don't need any penetration. Honey Mahogany.
I didn't see her come up on any wish lists either.
No, I mean, she does host viewing parties at Midnight Sun in San Francisco.
Okay. I
always end up not going because I don't know why, because Trixie was a guest there last season. Actually, during Trixie's season, Trixie was there like twice.
Wasn't she? Yeah, didn't you see Trixie there the night that she got her episode elimination happened?
No, I saw.
That was Robbie.
I saw Katya on the night of her elimination.
Oh.
I think, and I saw. Well, maybe that wasn't the night of her elimination. Maybe it was the episode after that. But I saw Robbie Turner this season at the cafe in SF for the episode where she's eliminated. it was particularly sad. But she was super nice, actually. Like, I would love to see what else Robin. I would love to go to another. I mean, the fact that she did Liza with a Z. That's a really hard song to lip sync to, and she did that like on her, like in a crowded little club where everybody could see every flaw. So I liked her. She was cool. But too soon to be on All Stars, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing when you think of all the people that, like, you know, for me, it's always a toss-up between season 4 and season 5 is my favorite season. And I always I think I always come down on season 5 because it had Jinx, Alaska, Detox, Coco, Alyssa, Ivy Winters, Lanesha Sparks, Monica Beverly Hills, and Jade Jolie, who was entertaining in her awfulness at some points. Like that hair outfit, it's the legendary misstep that we'll never figure out, ever. Which I think she's worn since, actually. I thought I saw a picture of her in it at a different time, and I'm like, wait a minute, you still have...
recycle their outfits.
You still have that look? I'm like, we all saw it on TV, and we all saw Michelle drop, like, massive shade on that outfit, and everyone else. Like, even Rue was like, what was that? So that's not one she should have kept. But I don't see her coming back for All Stars.
No.
Like, maybe Ivy Winters, because Ivy Winters is super entertaining.
Yeah,
She was a circus performer. Like, Chanel was a circus performer.
I know. But they're solid on the fall 2016 premiere date.
That's what they say. So it's going to be fall. See, like, Adore is obviously an obvious choice. But I thought maybe Courtney Act.
Really?
That's
she also has her own
That's
career.
an all-star thing that, like, okay, that's an actual star from that season. Who else was there that season? Darian Lake and Bendela Creme was another rumored one.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
Bendela Creme is hilarious in live performances.
Yeah,
like,
you've told me a lot.
Jocelyn Fox, fun and sweet.
Sure.
She was in the Skin Wars drag race pageant.
As was Kennedy Davenport.
Mm-hmm. And Tyra, they've been really trying to push Tyra as being part of the drag race family
I
more.
guess Tyra
in
needs
the last year. Tyra needs the
work.
help.
Yeah.
I think because she's kind of killed herself with like her social media bitchiness, like talking shit about people who commit suicide as being weak and like awful, and I have no sympathy for them. Or like, oh, it's nice to know that people in your community you don't have any sympathy for. And she kept defending it. When people would say shit to her, I'm like, just stop talking.
Don't
stop.
dare bury yourself.
She should have done like the same thing she did to, what was it? Was it Tatiana? Then why are you talking? Like, she should have done that to herself on Twitter because she just kept sticking her foot in her mouth over and over again.
Well, it's nice to know that Rue is still trying to support her and help her out.
I feel like Rue's been putting a lot more, because I've seen her pop up in more things.
I know.
I was like, oh, of course they didn't actually show any clips of her really talking to anybody in Skin Wars or here.
Yeah, or
I liked that they all had to like walk out on the runway and present themselves at the beginning of the finale, doing the like, this is the advice that you would give to the queen or whatever, you know, to the queens. And so it was like a voiceover of them saying their advice. That's the only time you really heard Tyra Sanchez speak.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I feel like she needs the help. Milk, no. Trinity K. Bonet. Now, she was a really good lip syncer. That was where she like came alive. And the looks, she was also a looks queen. I could stand to see again. Laganja, just the personality. I like her because like I kind of agreed with her in her season, like with the idea that like Adore's wearing something she bought from Forever 21. I'm wearing something that I made from scratch, and I'm the one who gets like more critiqued more on the runway for other reasons. But it's like they're just giving her a pass on this. But if they do that sometimes, like they just kind of latch on to some certain characters. Adore was another one you were kind of rooting for.
Yeah, for sure.
When you watched that season, you weren't really rooting for Bianca. You kind of started there. Mm-hmm. Started with Bianca, like a clear front runner, nailing almost everything.
Yeah.
You don't really ever have an emotional connection to them. Although Bianca actually turned out to be like a really sweet person and then kept her character alive throughout that season. So you really got both sides with her.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, that was like the beginning of the end though, because after that it was like, we're not going to show that other side of people. We're just going to have a front runner obviously win. But yeah, Gia Gunn also April Carrion, not really all-star material. Vivacious was fun. But Kelly Mantle from that season, really?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think
weird.
so.
Like, Ginger Minj seems more like it. Pearl...
Especially with everyone else that was listed. Kelly Mantle
doesn't stand out
fit
amongst
into
that.
yeah.
Kind of like when they... Well, Mimi Ann first was infamous for that move where she picked up India Farah.
Yeah.
But they said she does it in her act. Like, she always did it. That was part of her shows before she was on the show. So
Right.
it wasn't necessarily the worst thing she could have done. But I would love to see Trixie, Miss Fame, keep doing your makeup tutorials, girl.
I mean, she was at Con recently.
Yeah.
So, whatever she's doing, it's fine.
But Jane Dior Fierce, like, possibly.
Possibly. I felt like she was gone a little too soon.
Candy Ho, don't think so. Mrs. Katja Davis, don't think so. Jasmine Masters is never coming back.
That was her name. I saw a cut of Miss Kasha Davis from, because like they kept doing this like frenetic like cutting back and forth from like the crowd to the stage, so you get like side glimpses and you're like, who is that? I didn't have a second to process.
When they kept showing, was it Rumor Willis?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to see you.
Why do they keep showing Rumor Willis like, oh, that she's the big, like last year you had
She's
Miley
she's
Cyrus
like the big
in your
star.
crowd.
Yeah.
I'm like, I understand us seeing Miley Cyrus 5 times because she actually ended up hiring a bunch of those queens to perform with her. You felt like that sounds like she was a genuine star that was at the finale. I'm like, this year they were giving Rumor Willis that treatment. I guess it was
Who
cool.
can Rumor Willis even hire?
But I bet her dad was probably not super pleased that she was there. So
I was gonna say,
makes
I'm
me
sure
like her a
he
little
doesn't.
better.
But if Miley Cyrus goes on to hire these queens like for actual jobs, and you have Rumor Willis there the next year, whose father will never hire any of these people for a job ever, and she doesn't really have that kind of power, what's the point?
I know not.
Yeah, they just kept cutting to her. I'm like, I'm cool. I would rather see which drag queens are in the crowd than see her.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much I mean, we kind of went through all the people from the seasons, but when you think of everybody you want to see, like, the ones that we think are on it are kind of the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
There's only a few in there that you feel bad maybe weren't in there. You could probably swap 1 or 2 out here or there.
Well, if there's supposed to be a wild card number 12, then maybe that will happen.
Who will it be?
Who will any of them be?
We don't know. They have to make us salivate for it because that's how they keep viewers.
I mean, plus...
They can't be like The Voice and have a season every 2 months.
I guess that's true. But it also begs the question, what else is Logo doing? That's what I thought. Not working on their website, I know that much.
They do produce original documentaries that are usually very good.
Okay.
So they do legitimately have projects that they produce that have some genuine meaning for the community. And I've been impressed with the ones that I've seen so far. Like, they don't...
Oh, and they also have RuPaul's game show now. I just remember that.
That show is hilarious, by the way. It's very entertaining. And I've got to find out how to audition. Somebody help me. Somebody help me get to an audition for that show.
Somebody tweet at Samir and tell him how he gets on the show.
Because I suppose I could look, but I don't have that much time.
You make that... It's because he has 2 jobs, not because he's, like, dying or something.
Well, also, like, whenever I was on a game show, I got called by I auditioned for... I did one. It was a film game show, and I had to just apply online kind of thing. Then they, like, called me, and I did it.
Weren't you almost on Deal or No Deal?
I was on Deal or No Deal, but the daytime version.
Oh, right.
The syndicated daytime version.
But didn't they try to get a tearjerker thing out of you, too?
They did. I rejected it.
Good for you.
They did. They use my mom. They always do. That's what they do. They want you to show that it's like, because you can't root for somebody that you don't see that side of. So they're like, oh, you're very funny and you're charismatic, but we really want people to root for you. So you have to tell us something personal, so that something that people will connect with. They'll see you have a sort of genuine human emotion beyond just having fun, and that'll make people want you to win more, and they'll be more invested. They didn't say all of that, but that's what I understood them to mean.
That is the subtext.
It's like that they want people to be sucked in a little bit more, and they will be if they're really invested in whether or not you get something.
If you just cry about your mom a little bit.
And I was just I forgot. They asked me, what would you do with the money? And I was like, I forgot what I said, but it wasn't like a...
It wasn't.
I think I did mention my mom, but I didn't cry. I was just like,
yeah,
oh,
but it wasn't what they wanted to hear.
It wasn't what they wanted to hear. Because I remember reading a comment online where somebody actually reviewed it, and they were like, I said something about wanting to pay for my mom's house while they make you say something like that. And then the guy's like, well, with the money you won, be lucky if you can fix one of her windows. And I'm like, that's true, so I spent it at Lacoste. She didn't need new windows at the time. My dad was still alive and earning money at that point, So it was like, wasn't needed then. It was like, no, this is me money, that my $500 that I didn't have to report to taxes because it was less than $600 in winnings. Yeah. Say hello, jeans, that I still have.
Suck it, IRS.
But, yes, but, like, they tell you that kind of shit all the time. So it's like, I've been on the other side with, like, we have to do that. So it was like, when they started doing this shit with Bob's mom, and I'm like, girl, I've been there. I know exactly what you're doing.
You have to cry if you want to win. That's
Yeah.
probably
You have
what
to
they
cry
told
for
him.
us. Like, there's no way you can win without crying. Even Tyra Sanchez cried.
But I feel like
If Tyra
Tyra Sanchez
Sanchez
has a
could
lot
cry.
to cry about.
Well, true, but she was, like, always the bitchy character. But, like, you did kind of feel for her because it kind of came back to bite her in the butt when, like, she needed help and nobody wanted to talk to her. And nobody would help her, and she was
Which is
really
what
struggling.
Acid Betty has learned, is like, oh, tell everybody that you're a bitch, but then don't act like a bitch all the time, or else no one's going to want to help you. I did like Thorgy's explanation of her and Bob's relationship, which is that
She's like, oh, I just love tearing them apart.
I just love arguing with people.
And Bob's the kind of person who...
seemed true. That was about right.
It was an accurate description. I thought it was cool that they brought out the violin for her to play.
And it scared Robbie Turner. He's like, oh! It's like he saw a violin ghost.
I'm a ghost.
I'm a ghost.
Thorgy was having a blast.
Thorgy was having lots. I'm like, I
Thorgy's
think
so much fun.
Thorgy exceeded the one drink limit backstage before came on set, because she was like in a good mood, and
Doing
probably
high
because the
kicks.
pressure of
Yeah.
trying to win was over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she could just have fun. So that probably has something to do with it too. But they say that Thorgy's kind of like a wild performer, like at her shows.
Did you think that was Thorgy's real hair? Or was that a
No.
wig? I don't know. It looked like colored dreads, and I didn't see the bump
It looked like plastic dreads.
I guess. I don't know
Margot.
what dreads... I don't know what dreads look like.
If you could see our faces looking at Margot right now.
I know. We live in the Bay Area. Of course I know what dreads look like.
I'm like, they're everywhere. But yeah, Thorgy was having a grand old time. That was fun to see. I just, like I said, we said it before. I wish they'd go back to the old format. I understand you have to change. Change is good, but change is just change. It's actually not good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
The product of that change is
you
what
should
can
just
be good
stick
or
to
bad.
what works.
Yeah.
Right?
It's usually they do. But
Yeah, we'll see if the live finales stick around. I wonder how they'll set up All Stars 2.
Was it William Blake said, you never know what is enough until you know what is too much. So I feel like this is like the point where last season RuPaul realized where it was too much, and he's starting to pull back to what is just enough again.
Too much
Like this
mean.
season was better than last season.
Yeah.
I think it's a step in the right direction
Yeah.
for the future of the show. Who knows how much longer they're going to go, but they haven't made any before this season. I thought like it sounded like this was going to be like the last season, like the way they were
Really?
talking about
Really?
it. I don't know. It just felt like I was getting these weird pronouncements about the show, and they weren't talking about its future anymore. And everyone was like, "Are we not going to get any more?" Like they haven't talked at all about the next season, but now they're already talking about casting for the 9th season, and they have an All Stars coming out. So I think Logo realizes. I mean, granted, Logo's the station that it's broadcast on. It's really produced by Viacom.
Uh-huh.
So it's like Viacom realizes that there's value to be had.
I mean, there's definitely an audience there, and I think it gets a lot of mentions on social media, and that to Viacom is more valuable than most things. So
they manage to still have enough money to pay for seat fillers, even if they don't sell all the tickets to the theaters that the finales are in. So it must be doing well enough. Because, I mean, I could believe that they would fill the theater, but last year when we wanted to go, you could still buy tickets like the day before the finale. Like they were still available. I was just like, shouldn't this be
but
sold
I think
out?
the DragCon is now grown in popularity.
That's
so
true.
I
Yeah.
think that filters into the finale, because I feel like it's filmed that same weekend. Or around the same time.
It's filmed like right after, because it's like when all the queens will be here.
Right,
They
it's like,
kinda-
okay, that's why all the queens are there. Is like they're all already gathered at this convention, so.
So it's like, oh, everybody just extend your trip for another day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the show pays for it, so I'm sure it's fine.
But I feel like we've run the gamut on Gambit for this season of RuPaul's Drag Race. I think that we've covered pretty much everything, and we'll have to wait whole months for All Stars Season 2, which will be, it's not going to be as long as season.
I don't
Because
think
they're
so.
always
They
shorter.
never are.
But there'll be something between now and the next season of Drag Race to keep us all coming. The Shady Ladies will return from hibernation. That show will get my cold, dead heart beating again. And
We'll come out from under the shade tree after months of hibernating, sleeping.
Yes, in shade.
Gathering up
Sipping tea.
Shade to spew out to everybody.
It'll be so stored up. We're going to be living off of it.
It's going to be fun. I'm sure we'll have a ton to say as soon as we do find out who is going to make All Stars.
I know. We'll have to
officially.
do something when we find out. Once more media starts coming out about it, we'll create a reason to talk about it on another episode of The Shady Ladies. But until then, we must retire to our boudoirs.
Ari, thanks for being our first ever guest.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're going to be back for All Stars, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll try to get some more guest stars, too.
For sure. Yeah, now that you've been here, now it feels like we should always have a guest. Not always, but most of the time.
It's fun.
Right? Three's a party. We're all cramped in here. This like weird window nook.
Yes. Well, until the day comes when we are again awash in drag queens on my television, we must
find us at.
Yeah.
Do you want to do, let's see, Gambit Mag was where, gambitmag.com, you can find all of our written reviews, TV, games, movies, everything. If you subscribe to the Gambit Digital Network on your podcast listening app, or even on the Gambit Digital YouTube page, you'll also see now that there's a it's E now, right? It's not
WWE.
It's like, wait, Grandma doesn't remember. Which letter is it?
It's an E now.
WWE podcast hosted by our editor-at-large, our big boss George. So you should give that a listen because it's cool if you're into that fun stuff.
If you're into that kind of thing.
And there are also other like fun playthrough goodies on our YouTube Gambit Digital page.
We'll be bringing back our Ice Cream You Scream horror podcast soon.
Now that there are a bunch of interesting-looking horror movies out.
There's a lot of things, and a lot of horror television that I've become infatuated with. That I like, at least.
Well,
Maybe
I mean,
that's a bit strong.
Oh no, that
expression.
Was you didn't tell me about these shows.
Well, there's lots to talk about, but let's save it for that.
Yes. Until then, you can find me on Twitter at MarkShiro, or you can start your next Twitter fight with Samir.
Oh yes, I can go all day.
Yes, you did. My phone did not stop vibrating.
I know.
All
I was like
day
kind
long.
of half doing it just so like people would keep getting like pinged on their phone, because that kind of was what keeps like the discussion going. It's like, dear God, I can't ignore it for this long.
It was funny. It was fun to watch you guys have your little spat.
Oh, it wasn't even really a spat. Who knows what it was?
I don't really know. It's really hard to tell when it's like just words. I mean, you don't hear that person's inflection and you don't know who they are as a person. So you're like, are you mad?
Probably a little bit, because I get like that with my like, if I was Samir 10 years ago, I would have been like, fuck you, kimchi's the best. You don't know shit, man. I would have been like that on Twitter. Maybe a little bit more eloquent, but the spirit behind whatever beautiful words I was trying to use that don't fit into a 140 character statement would have been a lot angrier and more defensive, and now it's just like, meh.
Yep.
We all knew this was going to happen anyways. I'm like, why are you mad? You know what's going to happen in the end. You can't expect everyone to love the same people you love in every single thing that you watch all
and
the
thing
time.
The only thing that matters is that Bob won.
It certainly never happens to me.
Yeah.
But
And it
Bob
never
won,
happens
like,
for
we all
any
knew it was
person
gonna
that's a
happen.
reality show contestant from San Diego. So.
Mm-hmm. Where is it? Oh, Lawanda's going to be going into hibernation, too.
I know. We'll figure out the whole battery situation in the meantime. So until we see you for the All-Star round,
it's
we bid
another
you
sad bye.
bye.